I'm really, really disappointed today. I reviewed all of the files that I received from Public Records Unit of the Columbus Division of Police. What I was expecting to find was about 15 minutes worth of conversation that Officer Sclafani had with the investigators that I was meeting with and interrupted by. So I suppose I will need to review the tape and get the names of the investigators and then take them to court to get them to tell me what Sclafani said to them about me. There's always more than one way to do something. That's why there's always two ways to do something once. Don't forget it, because it's really important. Especially when you have people lying and doing things behind your back that you need to find out the truth of. I don't know why the police continue to deny me investigation, proper investigation, on an outsider who came into this neighborhood and was believed by Patty Ryan. Why is this so difficult? Why are they resisting knowledge and truth? So much. So much so that they decided to call my pursuit of justice delusional beliefs. It's kind of funny until you realize that it's affected my whole life. And it's really a problem. It's a huge problem.
Please, 911. Hi, my neighbor at 434 Midgard Road is having a severe paranoia episode, and anyways, I think he needs some help. Okay, what's he doing? What's going on? Well, he's seeing people that aren't there. He's hearing voices that aren't there.
V2K, which is actually torture. And there's a technology in the neighborhood that's being used to stalk me. In addition to real people stalking me too. What a mindfuck. He's asking these people that are there to leave and they're not leaving. And he has a flashlight and he sees reflections and he says that there are people there. And I went over to ask him if he needed help. I asked him if he would like me to call. She said he sees reflections. So, in a way, that's kind of part admittance to knowing what's going on. The police. And he said, no, the police have been to his house before. He's a very gentle man, but he has some severe psychiatric trouble. So. I do? Really? Based on what? It must have been something she was told. Or else she just made it up. I suppose that's a possibility too.
The plan with the police and Patty as a team to get the addict moved out of the neighborhood was to first, step one, stalk the person, and anytime you see anything that looks like using behavior, call us and we'll take them in for an evaluation. So that happened. Something like 8 times. I'd need to go back into my records to find out over how long of a time period. But then, probably because the dum-dums, the police, realized, oh, we could get in trouble for this, right? All of a sudden, things switched to a competency hearing, as if I cannot take care of myself. One of the narratives said not wearing shoes that caused a hospitalization. I was on my own property. Netcare, which I call net scare, because they are scary. They're fanatics for taking people out of the free world. It's what they do all day. They remove them. Netcare does the filings for the probate court, and then the probate court approved it. The probate court approved 4 hospitalizations in 6 weeks' time. How do you go through the whole process? And isn't that a little too much attention on one person? What is wrong with the police, with poor Patty Ryan, and Netcare, and the probate court, the judge? He's a wackadoo. He's probably just a rubber stamp, Mr. Mackey. What are you doing? Why are you targeting me? Why are you destroying my life? We're getting to the moment here in a minute. We're coming up on it.
Okay, that's what's going on. And the Secret Service has been to my house about number 4, and so it's
Secret Service, huh? They protect the president, and that's all they do. It's their job. Why would somebody from the Secret Service come all the way to 433 Midgard Road to talk about another neighbor? Doesn't that seem strange? It's better.
Episodic, but I really feel sorry for him, and I went over to ask him.
I don't know what you feel sorry about.
If I could help, and he wanted me to see the people that he was seeing. So,
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, that's what's going on.
Okay. And did you want to leave your name?
I don't care, but I guess I don't want to ruin my relationship with him.
Sure.
Because there aren't too many friends that he has. But
okay.
I have a whole city that loves me and cares about me. Patty has taken away all my friends, though.
Okay. I'll put the neighbor called. And what's his name?
His name is Robert Milligan. He's known as Rem, R-E-M.
How old is he?
50-ish. He's a retired Columbus public school teacher. He's not retired Columbus public school teacher, but he is on medical leave from Columbus public school.
Medical leave.
How do you know my employment status?
Yeah. And what did he do for him?
He was a teacher in Columbus public schools, an elementary school teacher. And, yeah. So it's sad to watch, and I really...
Again, what is sad, Patty? What are you finding sad to watch?
Hesitated to call the police because I hated to do that, but...
You call all the time. I bet you Frank Scalfani will tell a different story. I hate to call the police, but...
Yeah.
They've been to his house before, and I'm sure that somebody gentle is going to come that understands it and is able to help them. But after the Secret Service was here, he had gone to Washington.
There it is, a second time in the same message. Secret Service. Listen closely.
In D.C. and anyways, they...
Secret Service?
Yeah, Secret Service.
Did they say why they were there?
Yeah, they did say why they were there because he filled the Washington, D.C. with his computer to share with the president information that was on his computer, and the Washington police arrested him, and so he then...
Well. I was never arrested. All the pigs in Columbus need to do is pick up the phone and call Washington, D.C. police and ask.
Drove home, and then the Secret Service follows him or something, then he...
The Secret Service follows him. That's funny. Where did they sleep when my engine blew up on the drive back from D.C.? in June for a week while I was at Holiday Inn. I know what the pigs can do in Columbus. No, not that. They can do something else. They're used to doing that. But they can do something else. They can check his debit card and credit card purchases for the time period June 20th, 2019 to the 4th of July, 2019. If you go before the 20th of June, you should see DC charges on his accounts because that's where he lives. The man I'm talking about either drives or knows the driver and owner of HLL 9533 Ohio license plate. I have gone over and over and over this in emails. I explain it in a recorded message, a recorded conversation to one officer. I left it on the voicemail of a liaison officer. I've informed Internal Affairs that I'm being profiled. And that my civil rights are being violated. And I've got the document that proves it. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I've got it somewhere. It's online. That's always a good place to go for all of my evidence. Tiered Justice, Equity, and Equality on Facebook. I make everything public because it is ridiculous how I am being ignored when I ask repeatedly for assistance because this man told lies to my neighbor. I'll tell you something I learned last month. And the police behave like nobody ever learns new information that's pertinent to a crime. They must have a cold case file that's miles thick. Well, we don't know what to do. When new information becomes somebody's knowledge base, it sometimes drastically changes things. That's what happened when I got this recording you're listening to. I didn't have it prior to June of 2021. So all I had at that time before was suspicion, and pretty good suspicion that something was off. And I needed help from the police. to get it figured out. Since I got the 911 tapes, I have tried to talk to Patty first. I spent the whole summer sending her emails and texts and messenger messages. I don't talk to Patty Ryan on the phone. So if the police have been given any information from Patty that was supposedly on the telephone, it didn't happen. She avoids me like the plague. And when I ask her to check her messages, she pulls out her phone and pretends to check the messages. Oh, okay. She just does her own thing. She's in La La Land. I've done my best to keep her out of jail. I have. I've even used neighborhood embarrassment to try and get her to fess up. And Arvid, too. They're both withholding evidence that's extremely important because there's something going on in our neighborhood. And they're holding evidence, linking the events occurring right outside my windows with something they know. We're not done. Here we go. Let's continue.
He gave the Secret Service my name and they...
No, I did not, Patty. I did not give them your name. Why would I do that? You were handpicked beforehand because the two men are friends of Arvid Ashby. And employees. He fancies himself as a carpenter, like Jesus. And earlier this summer, he was across the street in the porch of Patty Ryan. He goes over there often. If I'm saying for over a year, Patty, that they're imposters and they are not real, why would you invite them into your home? That sounds kind of silly. I mean, most people that do something like that and try and trick me aren't welcome in my life anymore. I mean, that's called making good friendships and having good relationships with people, is that they're honest with you. As much as I hate Patty, I try to maintain relations with the woman. She's not getting it. And I think that the Secret Service has said some things about my medical history. That make me out to be somebody else who's very, very sick. I'm not. I have a diagnosis because neighbors. And then concerned friends because they started reading my journal and I was complaining about the hospitalizations that were happening in the neighborhood. So my friends started calling in and saying, I'm seeing things that aren't there. Will you listen to me for a minute, please? What I see on my screen is different than what I see in real life. My apologies for the voice. But my friends are not getting it because if I make an observation that's scientifically based off of two different sets of criteria, that is not seeing things. On top of that, in my journal, I write out what my captors, who are the ones using V2K, talking inside my head. It's called the microwave auditory effect. V2K. It's where waves that are invisible, can you believe that? Invisible waves. Same thing as a FM or AM radio. Same as a television station. Same as a cell phone. So the idea that invisible waves aren't real. Yes, they are. You use them every day. You can't do something remotely like that. Can you change your channel sitting on your frickin' couch without touching a button on the box? So the reason that I write what my captors tell me is because sometimes they slip up and give clues of their identity and also what they plan to do. So if I write it beforehand and then it happens, it proves that I'm being psychologically tortured. I'm trying to get myself free. But people like Will insist, because I hear a voice, I'm mentally ill. And they called Medcare. And they say, I'm suffering from delusions and auditory hallucinations. They've got my fraternity brothers on the bandwagon because that's what they all believe too. In my neighborhood, it's been challenging and frustrating to be silent outside. That's why I have a sign on my oak tree that says slave, because I'm silenced. If I speak out loud, Patty Ryan runs and calls the police or Netcare and says, he's showing a symptom of a mental illness. He's really sick. To make sure that her projection of a mental illness works, the police said to Patty, the best thing to do with somebody who's mentally ill is to ignore them. It's their mental illness. So Patty, anxious to get all the neighbors on board, and because Patty says, this is the way we'll get the addict out of the neighborhood. The police said so. Everybody's on board. So it's as quiet as a mouse outside. You can hear a pin drop. And they're all waiting to listen to me say something. So they can do what the police said. Call them right away. Let's finish this.
Came to my house and we talked, and I said what a nice man he is, very talented, a talented musician, and
I think you probably said, too, the lie that Bill told you in 2017. Bill said he was a drug dealer. If Delaha pretended to be the federal government or work for the government and fooled Bill of 441 Gomo, he probably also said something else to the effect of, he's crazy, which Bill interpreted as being mentally ill. So I'm sure that she shared more than just that I'm a good person and a talented musician. I'm Miss Innocent. Hold on.
and so there's a lot of good to him, but he just is very much losing it. Yeah, I mean.
We got a problem. My government has ruined my life. For no good reason. At all.
Okay, let's take a look right now. Do you know if he has any weapons in his home or anything? I don't know that. I doubt it, and I know that I've been told that I was foolish to go over there, and so I even was hesitant walking over this morning, but
I understand.
Who told you that it was dangerous to come over and talk to me? That's odd. Betty, I've lived across the street from you for 17 years. What do you mean?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we're on our way now. Do you think he'll answer the door for us?
He's outside.
Oh, okay.
So
where is he outside?
He's in the front of the property. Actually, he's on the neighbor's property right now. So.
Okay. What's he look like? No white or black?
He's a white thin male, and he has on either bathing trunks or his night trunks, but he doesn't have a shirt on. And he has a flashlight in his hand. So.
A flashlight. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
It'll be noticeable. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It'll be noticeable. You notice me a lot, Patty. Why do you notice me so much? Kind of weird, Patty, that you notice me so much.
911, what's your emergency?
Hi, I am calling about a man that lives across the street from me at 434 Midgard Road, and he has been outside yelling. He has some problems. The police have been here before, but all of he's saying is directed at me. I'm sitting out in the front.
Do you hear that? She says I'm yelling at her. Which is correct, because she's ignoring me. Which is what the police told her to do. She's withholding evidence to capture people who are torturing my body. She doesn't believe me. So my life gets shorter and shorter the longer I'm exposed to microwaves. Because the police don't respond to me, which is either because they just don't offer services for people that have a history of drug use, in which case I'd like a refund, please. I want some property tax back. If you're not going to bother doing the job, I don't want to pay you. Defund the police. If they're going to pick and choose who they're going to service. Or they're discriminating against me and not offering services because of a disability that they gave me. I didn't have one before. Neighbors started calling. And now, whenever they get a phone call, what do? They check to see if I'm taking my medicine, like they're my mommy and my daddy, and well, he's not competent, or he's not compliant, so we better take him in. You're not addressing crime. And the medicine they give, schizophrenics, which I'm not, I'm not because I have evidence of the crime that you just heard. The doctors don't believe me because there's no reports. Because they keep blocking me and they won't let me report the crimes. If I'm lucky enough to report the crimes, they become miscellaneous incidents, which is the equivalent of no crime occurring. So it looks like I'm making it up. That's what the doctors think. Because if they call the police, they'll say, "No, sir, we have no records of him filing any reports of crime." Ever? That's right, sir. What is a doctor supposed to think with me saying all sorts of details of real crime that happened? Which, if the police ask the neighbors about, because I'm not around, they lie and say they didn't do it. Or they say, he sees things that aren't there. Or he hears things that other people don't hear.
Porch, and he's yelling. He's been yelling at one of the other neighbors, and he's yelling about a third neighbor. And I really
What is your name?
but I don't know. My first name is Patricia.
Okay, what is the yelling? I mean, what is it? Racial? Is he crazy? What is it that's going on there?
He's psychiatrically disturbed.
Okay, what got?
I am? Honey, you're committing crime, spreading rumors about me to the neighbors and to the community. What are you missing?
Is he black, white, Hispanic, and what's he wearing?
He has on some shorts. He's white. He's 50-ish age-wise. He's very thin. He has on shorts, dark hair, and he's been in front of his house yelling and screaming. And anyway, there's a baby that lives next door to him, and it's a 2-year-old, and who he's awakened from a dead sleep and scared the parents as well as the child. So that's why I'm calling him.
Patty, you doing it for the baby's sake. Ah, aren't you just an angel? And I've scared the neighbors next door. I don't think so. Wade confronts me when I get too loud, because I'm frustrated, because my life is a piece of shit, because Patty won't tell me what the man said in addition to the lies I caught on a 911 recording. Let's continue.
I really hate to bother you, but
No, you don't. You call all the time. Where do you think I got 45 911 calls from in a 3-year period? You like the Pentagram Pizza Company. Where you call in a projection, you get a projection. Hello, Pentagram Pizza Palace. How can we project your future for you? Yes, there's a psychiatrically disturbed man in my neighborhood. And he's yelling. The police told me to ignore him. He's really yelling at me. But it sounds better. And I'll teach him. He's gonna go to a hospital. And we'll be rid of him for a while. 23 times in 5 years. Don't you think that's a little bit excessive? I really want to go, and I think I will, to the Franklin County Probate Court and ask for statistics. I don't want to know any names, just numbers. I'm sure somebody has some bean counter position in the probate court that I can talk with that does statistics and can readily tell me, on average, what are the number of hospitalizations your clients or offenders, whichever one you want to call them, receive. Most hospitalizations occur from within a family because they're close to the individual.
anyways, we need some help. Okay.
We need some help.
All right, we'll send somebody out. All right. Well, thank you very much, and thank you very much, and take care. Bye, Michelle. All right.
As my fraternity brothers said, we were very close friends. And she's concerned about my health. About my mental health. She's so concerned that there's this.
Columbus Police, Tech 116.
Hi, I don't know if you guys can even do this, but like a wellness check on somebody who I'm pretty sure is just like having like a meth-induced like schizophrenic, like just like break from reality.
Ding, 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 ding. Were all those things written on a piece of paper? Because you just sprang them all. I'll tell you the punchline of this call in just a minute. You'll be surprised. Your jaw will drop to the floor.
Okay, what's the address?
His address is 434 Midgard Road, Columbus, Ohio 43202.
Okay, who are we attempting to check on here?
His name is Robert Earl Milligan. And we call him.
LL.
Yep.
Where did you get my middle name from? That's not common knowledge. I go by the nickname Rem. And the only people that call me Robert are the pigs and the brain witches. Because they're not my friends. They call me, and I won't correct them. Because all they do is cause more harm.
Milligan. He's like 40. He's white. He's like 46. He wears glasses. He's kind of balding.
Alright, about how tall is he, do you think?
Probably around 6 foot.
Approximate weight?
Like 180. I don't know.
Well, for being really skinny, which I am, I'm slender. 180? That's pushing almost able to play football, which is a sport I was never allowed to play. Which is fine. You know, I have only broken my wrists a couple times in my life, falling off of jungle gyms and other things. So I can thank my mom for no broken bones, but I'm skinny. 180. That's a joke. I've never been 180. I've never been 150. I'd like to be 150. I eat, but my metabolism's really high. It's been really high, and I've been the same weight since I've been 18 years old.
Alright, and you said he's having like a, sort of like a mental crisis?
Yeah, he's like, he thinks that like, he thinks that neighbors are like electronically projecting images on his windows. He thinks.
Because they are. I've gotten evidence of it and posted it. They're in the shapes of faces, but they're invisible to the naked eye. But I can get it on my phone screen, which I post. Then what the neighbors do is they get people in a voice of authority to come into the neighborhood and view with their naked eye my behavior and me capturing things on my phone. And the neighbors say to the people from the state or from the government or from the police, yeah, you can see there's nothing there. He thinks there are people there. He sees things that aren't real. He sees things that aren't there because I see with my own eyes nothing's there.
That right there, like, I don't even quite understand what he thinks is happening, but there's like.
That's because you've never talked to me. This is Tara. She lives in Hocking Hills, an hour away, calling to do a wellness check on me. A complete stranger. Well, isn't she a good Samaritan? Who asked her? We're going to get to that. Just wait.
Like degradation of his like gum line, which is actually like a direct result of like smoking meth. That he like claims it's like some kind of like manipulation. He thinks his neighbors are like holding him hostage, and like there's video surveillance. Like he like drove to West
I have evidence of a device on my Google account that is not mine and does not track my location, and an iPhone linked to my network, which makes all of my devices accessible, and a laptop on my Microsoft account that isn't mine. That is a audio listening device. And my cell phone number, because I only have one, I've had it for 30 years. Actually, yeah, 30 years. Over a quarter century. I've never changed my phone. So, my phone number is linked to a PC. I only use laptops. The last PC I used was a number of years ago, and it's never been hooked to the internet since I stopped using it before living on Midgard, I think. And I have evidence of somebody calling the police mediation center about a letter I wrote April 16th, 2019. Calling, pretending to be me, and talking about the letter I wrote to only two addresses, 441 and 437 Como Avenue. They both live behind me. They're the only two places that received that letter. So that means it must have been one of them. I went into the police mediation center in June of 2019. And I was told, oh yes, we spoke on the phone a couple weeks after receiving your letter. And I said to her, I've never called you on the phone. She could not recall what was said on the phone. Drats. I'd love to know. Because it would really help in informing the police, who I believe have been contacted By me. That's why I do my best to only send email and online reports. I don't want to confuse the already arrogant, ignorant pigs. They have a tough enough time finding oats. I don't want them to starve to death. Pat from Texas, September 26th, 2020 at 6:45 p.m. Called me and said, "Hi." I said, "Hi. You called me 15 minutes ago. This is Pat from Texas." I looked at my recent calls and I informed Pat from Texas, "No, I didn't call you." She read back my digits to me and said, "I got it right here. You called 15 minutes ago." I've informed the FBI and the police, but the police delete all my reports of crime and dismiss them all, saying I had delusional beliefs. And the police say that and they back it up. Well, the professionals say that. The professionals say it because there's no record of crime reported with the Division of Police. And they don't believe me. The other problem with this impersonator of me, they are completely believed. And I've been trying to avoid serious sabotage or silencing from this criminal and a projection in my life that will devastate and destroy me. For years, remote neural monitoring is used. So anytime I think of an idea to free myself or to get help, there he goes on his computer, dialing my digits into an app, probably, I think. I don't know. And blocks me somehow. My captors used to speak about this experience being either a game or a movie. Apparently, it's been told that I'm in a movie about my own life, my real life. So I'm being physically and psychologically tortured. Neighbors are told to watch my behavior and call them for signs of using or mental illness. This is looking really bad. It's bad enough that neighbors are creating images of faces against my windows to make me think about myself, which is a major symptom of the disease of addiction. So my neighborhood is creating symptoms of my disease, even if I'm not using. They create a visual and an auditory environment for me to experience every day as if I were using. And in telling of truth, friends all believe I'm suffering from a mental illness because that's what one of the criteria are for being hospitalized. Do you hear or see things that other people don't? If you answer yes to that question, you get hospitalized. The field of psychiatry does not recognize V2K as a reality. So I learned that I was not going to be listened to early. So when I am asked, are you suffering any delusions or hearing things that aren't there or seeing things other people don't see? I say no, because they're being caused from an outside source. And I've captured it on film that I can prove. But I never have my laptop with me, conveniently, going into the hospitalizations. The police come and they act like it's an absolute emergency that I go to the hospital right away. It's a setup. MCR accepts anonymous calls to begin a probate process. I would earn millions for having my constitutional right to be able to face my accuser in a court of law. Because they can't find the person I would like to address. Their procedure is unconstitutional and is a great, huge liability. And if I've got somebody calling and pretending to be me, setting me up to do things like lose my career that I just started with Coldwell Banker, sabotaging my future, I bet he's willing to call up as a friend and talk about how sick I am. Or say I'm doing things that I'm not. I have somebody in my neighborhood who's, first of all, too smart for his own good and is sick beyond belief, mentally ill. He has an obsession and compulsion to create harm in my life. He's also addicted to knowing everything I do because he's got access to the R&M program, which is government. So, it stands to reason that this individual, who doesn't want my future to be very bright, works for the government or knows somebody who works for the government. And because Patty has an agenda and she thought I was a drug dealer, I'm suspecting it's somebody with the Columbus DEA. Who lives in my neighborhood. That's what I'm guessing. And the police probably know who it is because they get information from him. And he's probably in charge of the neighborhood investigation. The missus let it slip that he is the neighborhood watch dog. Woof woof. If anybody knows the neighborhood watchdog by name, I really need to know. Because he and I have a discussion to have. That's very important. I've tried to assure him and the group that is using R&M. The government can't do anything to you if you want to expose it. And they are sorry for what they've done. They are. They didn't know that microwaves cause cancer. So for years of them talking in my head, I will likely develop brain cancer and die early. I want them to be brave and to join me in a lawsuit because they've been damaged too. This program doesn't just affect the victim. This program affects the people using it too. They become obsessed with their pet to toy with, play with. And when you have the ability to hear all, to see all, and to know all, because it reads thoughts too. So the police really love it. They do just about anything to keep it silent. Because they can illegally interrogate people and get them to admit to crime. Whoops. There goes your Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent. Patty Ryan does by ignoring me after she's committed crime. She doesn't speak. But if the government wants to know what you know, it can read your DNA resonance signature, which is your electrical field frequency, from space with a satellite that sends radar and tracks and monitors every individual on the planet. And it observes, then records your individual resonance signature, which is like stealing somebody's social security number or their credit card. So, the NSA has used this for 20 years. All they do is find you in the world because it goes through brick and stone and cement. And radar, which we know from pitchers in the professional baseball teams. They all seem to die early of brain cancer. Strange, rare. They call it rare. A rare brain tumor. Do you know why? Because fans all got their radar gun. Seeing how far he hits, or how fast he pitches the ball. True story. There's a reason cops don't put it on their nuts anymore because people were getting testicular cancer when they put the radar gun in their lap. So, back to the story. Radar. Tracking everybody because that's going to keep us safe. It's going to get you killed. Ding, 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 ding. There you go. There you go. So, if the government would like to know something, and they are too bothered by actually having a face-to-face conversation, just dial you up on the computer and have somebody ask the question. All of a sudden, the victim is thinking about an event in the past that they haven't thought about in a long time, and it's very strange. And you're brought back to the memory, and you think to yourself, did I commit the crime? And you accidentally incriminate yourself. Then, because the projectionist capitals of the world, the government, because they have the end result of a court case, they now find evidence to support pressing charges. So they've got the evidence, but they can't use it in court. But we're now going to open an investigation in order to try and get evidence that supports the end goal. As Officer Yates said to me on the 23rd of June, when he learned, because he said, our eyes are everywhere. No shit. Do you know what time I took a crap? What did I eat for breakfast, Daddy? I was detained because I went in to get help resolving some of these crimes that are still going on. And there is still an effort to silence this truth. I've lived my whole life, honestly. And nobody believes me of everything I say. Everyone believes me to be mentally ill or that I'm doing drugs. My one fraternity brother was pretty sure of himself that I was using drugs. And I said, did somebody tell you that? Because if they did, I need to know that. Because invasion of privacy has occurred. The amount of drugs that I use is very, very small, and it's mostly for my ADD. Which I can't get a prescription for unless I'm clean for 180 days. So I would rather not go scatterbrained for a half year as I'm trying to save my life and avoid setups for silencing. These are concerns I have every day of my life. Now, if you're the police, I'm asking for help. Why won't you give it to me? Aha. Oh. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? They'd never say it. But they have on paper stated that my reports of crimes are delusional beliefs. So I've got them there. Netcare claims that RNM and V2K are delusional beliefs. I've got them there. Internal Affairs. After 70 attempts, has done nothing. All the community liaison officers do nothing. The chief of police, because I started emailing her a copy of everything I sent to the police. They're not interested in providing services which are available to all residents. Says so on their first page. It says all residents. I'm a resident. And I'm having an inability to report crime, and then it gets deleted out of the system as if I never reported it. Or it keeps them from having evidence that they knew that crimes had occurred. So that if the feds looked, because I did fill out 76 FBI reports and tips, if there are no reports on file, then that means, yeah, he must be mentally ill. That's at least what the police would say to the federal government. Plus, whatever else Patty is keeping secret. That the government said. Plus, whatever documentation that's been provided to the federal government, they must think I'm a hot mess on paper without ever having met me. So, want to hear something sick? Because I'm an intelligent man and I speak my mind and I defend myself and I defend the Constitution and property law and God. Because I defend those things, there might seriously be an effort by my own government to silence me. I've had one DUI, so I have no fear. Until you bring into the mix a mental illness. Which I've only had hospitalizations the last 5 years of my whole life. I've made it to the age of 45 without ever seeing one of those hellholes where they treat you like shit. No belt, no shoelaces. That's what happens when you go behind the closed doors. I should definitely be allowed to publicize my journals because I painstakingly was accurate with everything. The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. It's an expose of the working conditions in factories. Nobody knows squat about brain witchery. Well, they guess, and they have a script pad, and they sign their signature, their autograph, and they pat themselves on the back for generating business for themselves in the future. There's not one medical test that they do. Although they do an EKG to measure your brain activity. Mine's 100% normal, full capacity. Let's get back to the recording. Tara, are you still there? Here we go.
I flew to Virginia like a month ago and tried to hand over some papers to the FBI. I don't know. Maybe that's good.
Alright, is he known to use any sort of narcotics or anything like that?
Yeah, methamphetamine.
Did you hear that excited voice? He asked the magic word.
Alright, does he have any sort of mental illnesses other than what you're talking about?
I mean,
Anxiety.
delusions, hallucinations, paranoia.
Just all things that come with schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Is he diagnosed with schizophrenia?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And does he have any sort of, has he made any sort of comments about hurting himself or anybody else?
No, no. I mean, he stalks his neighbors. He's like always taking pictures of his neighbors. But I mean, it's like he's not like threatening to hurt them or himself.
I'm taking pictures of illegal images in the shape of faces cast against my windows to make me think about myself. It creates a using environment even when I'm not using. So I never had the opportunity to recover in peace. Because my environment is a 3D fucking movie set. That the neighbors are aware is going on. And who's organizing it. But it's a secret. Can't tell Rem. So if he takes pictures of your house, call and complain. Arvid's going to file a stalking charge against him. He's going to take him to court. And because he posted things online, on his journal, that might give it away, that this is what we're doing, he's going to work it so that it gets silenced. And it won't be able to be on the internet anymore. 2 years worth of writing and entries I have removed and put in unpublished mode. Recently, because I dare him to sue me again. Because he videotaped my driveway and east side of my home for 9 months straight. After the agreement was made. It went up the same week, and we weren't allowed to communicate to each other. And over the course of 9 months, I would break the agreement, and I would talk to Arvid and tell him to redirect his security camera because it cannot be on my property aimed at it, which is across from his own property. He honored the agreement, ignoring me, as if I don't even exist. The police were made aware of the stalking case weeks before I received notification in the mail. So the police have a very slanted view of what's going on. If they know about RNM, remote neural monitoring, they're probably told to keep it secret. It does exist. They probably even go as far as saying it's a matter of national security. Doing illegal activity is not a matter of national security. Nice try. And the people using it don't have security clearance. So it's not top secret. It's just a secret. A big secret. People rely on this tool every day for work, but they're violating our rights, and they don't stand up for the people. Why am I saying all this to you? So it's on record, because I'm honest, and my government has destroyed my life. And an imposter and a neighborhood agenda is the whole reason why all of this is where it is today. My neighbor, Patty, and Bill, with their silence, could become the reason why my friends will never see me again. Or worse, they'll perform an operation. Whisk my brain. So that I become what my captors told me long, long ago in my torture. I was going to be the vegetable on Midgard that took care of his plate. Sick, right? Well, here we are. It's 2022. And this technology in the neighborhood is getting very noticeable. It's changing our environment, and somebody's in charge of it, and it's not me. But the group that's here observing, stalking, staring and ignoring, combined with the technology that looks like people or faces, which sounds like paranoia or schizophrenia, but it's really going on. My life has been a complete clusterfuck. And a bunch of people believed of lies, and I can't get anybody to help me. Not a fucking soul. Officer Lutz, you mentioned your obligations to the Division of Police. Before you project for them, I would make sure of your ethical code of conduct, because ethics matter. Since March, sir, where you said you were there to address any and all concerns, you've not done a thing for me. If he maintains a belief that I have talked to him, All the man needs to do is get his phone records. Now, I've got the last 3 months, and it looks something like this. Now, mine looks a little short because nobody calls me. Here's one page. It states the day, the time, the number, the origination, the destination, and the duration. From April 22nd, 2021 to July 23rd. Oh, sorry, 2022. This year. The day before my birthday, April 22nd, 2022 to July 21st, 2022. So I'm ready. In a way, I think it might be somebody in the police department. He's calling and pretending to be me. To set me up. So that it pleases Patty. Because she wants me to move. And they're doing her this big favor. As her friends. Abusing their authority and power. And getting rid of the addicts in the neighborhood. People with the disease of addiction have rights that are of equal status. Because traditionally, people with the disease of addiction are treated very unfairly. You don't say. I've written all about it. You can read it to your heart's content online for free because it's important that I get my message out. I can make money on it later once I get my rights back and my freedom and my privacy and I'm no longer a slave. Because I think by building up awareness about remote neural monitoring, that people will be like, that's not right. That's something we should definitely get rid of. So I bravely, and pretty much I'm the only one with enough balls to do it. Because I don't see anybody else talking as vocally and publicly about it as I am. It's why all my friends have abandoned me. Because I speak honestly about my torture. And I would like it to end. So my suggestion to my captors, because they are sorry for what has happened. They're good people. Got mixed up in a bad program that has probably fucked up their lives too. I don't know that for a fact. I do know that they're addicted to me and to causing harm. And I'm trying to walk a path of peace and of conclusion to this strange arranged marriage in my head that I did not consent to. I'd like a divorce. You're a nice guy, but you picked me. So I have suggested that he take a small staycation or find a psychiatrist that he knows to address his disease of addiction and to get it documented on paper, because then he can join me in going after the government for damage and pain and suffering. If he doesn't go in and get that documentation, the government can say, well, you say that you're addicted, but there's no proof. My whole journal, because it's nothing but the truth, is chock full of evidence of my captors being addicted to me. They could also talk about their own isolation that develops and the loss of friends of their own, an inability to do anything but think about what I'm doing throughout the day. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that this happens often to people who use the program against a person long term. And they cannot, for whatever reason, mind their own lives. And my captors do not necessarily want the best for me because they were told, or it's their job, to do something harmful to me so that I move. So it's taken almost 2 hours to get to this point. And that's okay. It's 2 hours well spent. Because without it, I would not be able to share it. My point is this. The projection for Robert Earl Milligan IV's future should be abandoned immediately. So I ain't that guy. In fact, all the people that claim they're experts of me don't know shit about me. And they're lying. Why would people do that? Well, you see, there is this technology. And what can you do with an invisible but visible thing? You can set people up for a mental illness. Yeah. And harass them all the time. And never get caught. I'd like the 3D movie set turned off around my property that I record all the time and post. And everybody says, he's suffering from an illusion. He sees things that aren't there. Neighbors are told to be quiet. Maybe they've been told this is some sort of testing of the program or an experiment. Again, the group lies. I'm being tortured by a group that doesn't like me very much. And I would like to resume my life. But right now, I'm trying to find legal help. And because of the diagnosis, the 1% of the world population has. I'm finding it nearly impossible because it's like me turning a light on. All the cockroaches run to the corners. Except the cockroaches are lawyers, unless they're ripping you off and just stealing your money from you. Which is why I want a referral from a friend I trust. But they all refuse and tell me to get help for my mental illness. And I tell them, you don't really know the whole story. You don't know what's going on. I need to speak with a lawyer, and I need a referral. And everybody shoots me down. Which leaves me ripe and open for silencing. I have sent recently to the CIA several reports and tips about the neighborhood. You better get your ass here because there's stuff going on. And the technology becoming more prevalent in the environment. Fuck everything you've been told. And come help the neighborhood. Because I'm being set up. And I don't like it. And I want it ended. And you're a voice of authority. They can do it, although it does state that you are not responsible for enforcing laws, which means you just do gross experiments with humans and collect intelligence information. I don't know what else you do. All I do know is that you're higher up than the FBI. And after 76 attempts, which I've cataloged and I've put on my page so that the public can see it, the neighborhood needs your help, and the FBI isn't interested in saving the country or world. Maybe the CIA will be. You probably have some knowledge of alien technology. This could be military, for all I know. All I know is this. There's been a lot of government equipment used against me in the last half decade, and I'm ready to move on with my life. Could you help? And it started with an illegal group of people that came into the neighborhood telling lies that I caught. Then the police won't help, which makes it look like they're involved. So all these people want to do something to me, and all I've done is a drug in the privacy of my own home. And I hear in my head, but there's also evidence of other things in the neighborhood indicating this possibility of incarcerating me or institutionalizing me. Don't you think that's going a little too far? Come here, write me a ticket, and leave me the fuck alone. Your job is to enforce laws. You are not God. You do not judge. You are not the court system. Because I didn't have a chance to defend myself with representation or face my accuser. You've violated my privacy online and my body. I'm now a slave, and slavery was outlawed in 1866. We're on two different pages. So, come along and let's have a conversation. Because my life has been completely ruined. I've lost all my friends. I've lost nearly all of my money because I'm living on my savings account of my retirement. And I don't get Social Security because teachers in Ohio don't put in to Social Security. So I get no benefits. And the bitch across the street, who you heard doing a crime, won't tell me what else they said. Because I can get rid of the diagnosis pretty damn fucking fast if I've got somebody vouching for me, saying that they were told something that was not true. But instead of being a neighbor, she's a bitch. Because she wants what she wants. She wants me to move. Sorry, honey. You cannot choose your neighbors. If you target a neighbor you don't like and make their life difficult. That is harassment. It is against the law, even though the police don't consider neighborhood harassment worthy of doing anything about. I went to talk to a detective one time, and I was told there are no detectives assigned to that crime. So you're going to let people bully each other? Well, off the record, if it has to do with drugs, they're allowed to bully. I bet you that's policy. Discrimination. I should be traveling the remaining 18 states because I went to 30 capitals and gave handwritten letters to 30 governors asking for assistance in establishing contact with the fucking Bureau of Investigation to address police profiling and violations of my civil rights and restricting access to be able to report crime, which is the role of local law enforcement. If you don't allow citizens to report crime because you don't think it's happening, well, who fucking asked you? If you don't allow people to report crime and then you delete it, making it look like it didn't happen or it wasn't reported because you got too busy projecting futures for people, you've certainly spent a whole lot of time on me for other people, and you've not paid any attention to me, and you have caused earlier death due to your inaction. And you still won't help. So I keep asking. So the amount goes up and up and up. You say when? Go on, go on. Keep avoiding me. It's okay. I'll keep bugging you. Because I've got records of all my attempts. You see. It's not okay for local law enforcement to ignore crime. And at some point, it becomes dereliction of duty. And if you have knowledge of things in the neighborhood, you're committing obstruction of justice by not having it investigated. And this reeks of collusion, which is working together with others to commit illegal acts, which would be getting me out of the way for nothing I've done wrong. Why would you want me out of the way? Well, I guess because I believe in God. And I believe in the Constitution. And I believe that people should be free instead of enslaved. I didn't realize that was such a big crime. Sorry.
Alright, and what is your name?
My name is Carol.
Carol, what's your callback number?
Blah,
614
blah, 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 blah.
Okay,
Did you like my song I just sang? It's the blah, 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 blah song. That's me protecting Tara from getting thousands of phone calls. I don't know her. She's a complete stranger. But I called her and I left a message. I said, there are people in my neighborhood who have caused an inordinate amount of hospitalizations, most of them for not any reason. And I need to know where you got your information from or who asked you to contact the police and perform a wellness check on somebody you didn't ever meet or see or know. In this whole situation, with everybody involved, I just want out. I want my freedom back. And everybody that I've asked for help from who has harmed me, because those are the things that I was able to catch, has not stood up for my rights. They have instead remained silent. Because I continue to keep attempting to get help from the authorities, one of them might follow through, and it would be a sad day if all these people were thrown in jail, especially with trickery used and people fooled. Part of the trickery that's been instituted is the idea that, oh, well, now that you've committed crime, we'll protect you, but you gotta stay silent. Plus, a lot of people don't believe the experience exists. They don't believe in the technology. So, some people are not willing to help because of that. When are people going to listen to each other? When are people going to believe the things they hear instead of saying, oh, that's a conspiracy theory, or that's crazy? When are people going to wake up that there are actually people suffering every day? And many, most, nearly all, are tortured if they attempt to get free. That's why you don't hear about it. Or they're afraid of getting silenced. I've been scared to half an inch of my life for so long that I am not afraid of anything. And because I walk with God, He gives me strength to do His will because He does not want us in each other's heads. That's playing God in someone else's mind and life with the ability to know and see all. That's not a path God wants us on. It is our choice. Just because the government makes something legal does not make it right, morally or ethically. So the thing to be considered with remote neural monitoring, do we really need it? If the NSA is bound and determined to keep it, which honestly it makes sense. But not every Tom, Dick, and Harry need to be using the program because it's being used nefariously. That's our word of the day today. Nefarious. Can you say nefarious? I knew you could. With a bang. Wow. That is something else. I never thought in a million years I would be thinking like that. Hopefully, some people will begin to think about what is best for all. Because if they don't, well, we're all going to be having a rough time. And that's just something that is really sad. So I'd like to leave you with oh, this could all be projections, though, which look like people. But do you believe me now? So is it paranoia? Or is there really a group trying to silence me? Activity. caught. Not a good thing. So, rather than continuing on a bad path, maybe it's time to do something different. Because doing this is ending up ruining my life. Some people think it's funny or fun. You need to get out of yourself. Stop teasing the addict. Wow. Now, well, and with this I close. Adieu to you and you and you. Au revoir. I'll be the same until we meet again. Looks like a whole crowd of people. Doesn't it? And looks like a family photo. Hello, it's the Hadersons. And we don't like addicts in our neighborhood. So we do everything in our power to get them to move. Where are we supposed to live? The zoo? You've got a problem probably with an addiction of your own. Besides me, which is a pretty big addiction. Because I'm so wonderful. Coffee. Caffeine is a drug. Beer is a drug. It's mind and mood altering. Sugar. It's a drug. The medication you take, those are drugs. There's a push for a drug-free America. They're serious about it. A lot of wives will be unhappy when Viagra gets pulled off the market. Sorry. People that are dying of cancer? Well, we're going to have to yank all the meds you're on. Sorry, it's a drug-free America. Our country was founded on drugs. The colony of Virginia was successful because they smuggled, if you can get that, smuggled tobacco seeds out of England. And they were able to plant the crop, and it became a very lucrative cash crop, which meant the colonists survived. True story. So, I'm I'm done going off. I'm going to try and enjoy a nice slave day. Not worry about my neighbors who are staring at me looking for symptoms to then report so that they have cause to have the police do something to me that they shouldn't do at all because they have misinformation that they refuse to look at that they've shared with the federal government that probably isn't going to want to look into the technology going on in the neighborhood because maybe they purchase some. This technology is illegal. It also has the ability to become any color of the visual spectrum and exist outside of the visual spectrum too. So it emits all sorts of different waves of the electromagnetic spectrum. Who knows what waves are actually being emitted? Some ionic waves are deadly. I know one thing. It starts out as really bright white light. It mimics or chameleons itself against the background, which is of a similar color. Here's what I'm worried about. Have you ever gone outside in the middle of winter, if you live in the north, and it's sunny and snowed? You know that feeling? It's pretty blinding. If this technology is attempting to match its environment, and there's a lot of it, what is going to happen the first time the sun comes out after a snowstorm? It's going to try and hide and emit more white light. So I invited the CIA to please come out to the neighborhood. I think they'd be relieved to talk with somebody who wasn't going to threaten them or threaten their lives or tell them to stay quiet. Because I don't think my neighbors are all that evil. I don't think. It helps me sleep at night knowing that they're not all evil. So I'm just going to go with it. Some might want to help or to give information, but they're being blocked. And because this involves the police, there's really no help for our neighborhood unless we get federal assistance. I know you already got people on it. They should all be pulled. You should talk with the victim and with the people that are involved in the neighborhood that I have named. I do not want to see people go to jail for this. because they were misled. Because that would be more pain and suffering. Knowing that in order to get my freedom back, other people had to lose theirs. What's the point? You need to help us out of a situation, and if you're worth anything at all, you need to help a completely innocent man of everything. Help me out of a situation. And I've got some ideas too that you might be interested in learning. Because they could be helpful and put the government in a stronger position than they're in today. My government is the strongest organization in the world. It doesn't have a problem with exhibiting that power. The question is, are they smartly going about their business? I am a thinker who thinks thoughts, and then I make things off of my thoughts. I play piano. I'm creative. I think differently. You shouldn't restrict knowledge just because I've experienced torture. According to this document, according to this document, came from Bureau of Investigation. It says here that it's responding to my FOIA request, and it indicates that they have no files on me whatsoever. You know what that means? For 24 months that I reported to the FBI about things going on in my neighborhood, I was ignored for no good reason. I wasn't on one of your domestic terrorist lists. But I've become quite the activist for freedom through my struggle to become free again. I hope you understand that. And I'm very passionate about what I do, which is defending everybody's rights that they don't know are taken away because you restrict the media to report certain things. I'll tell you what. I'll let you sleep on it. You know where I am. Come anytime. My door may be locked, and you may not break in. I will answer the door. I'm not afraid. Because I've done nothing wrong. I hope at some point soon everything will be cleared up and I can go back and have a gay, happy ass time somewhere and not have to think about ways of getting back my freedom and things reversed that were caused by remote neural monitoring. Because the diagnosis is a death sentence. You may have silenced many people in the past, but you're not going to silence me. Because I have a right to speak about my experience. It's my freedom of speech. And because God answered me and said, my suffering will not last forever. That could be within my lifetime or once I'm dead, which would still be fine. He answered the question, is the point. So I decided to defend his creation and thank him by defending it. We must preserve the thing that we are most of all. And that's God made. Special and unique. We are not all the same. And I think you'll agree after meeting me, you've never met anybody like me. Come on, it'll be fun. We'll have a good time. And you don't need to be afraid of me. Because I believe in nonviolent resolution, conflict resolution. I don't use what you use. You use silence and violence. I don't play that game. Because it's barbarian and old world brain thinking. I use my executive brain, more developed brain, to solve my problems. Maybe we can put our heads together, but I'm going to encourage you to use your executive brain. For your executive position with the government, we are reaching a very critical time as far as this technology is concerned, and quite frankly, I'm surprised there has been no intervention yet. Please, come to 434 Midgard Road in Columbus, Ohio. Zip code's 43202. If you're just catching this video and you want some out of this world photographs, over. Why not? Somebody's got to photograph it besides me. Because if I'm the only one that keeps photographing it, the people will continue to deny that it's there when it's right in front of them. And the next video you see of me will have me talking very differently. I might have some facial muscle problems. I'll never be able to play jazz piano again, or work, or contribute to society. That's not my future. And I will fight for my rights. Because I care about me. Even though Patty says I can't care for myself over and over and over. She better get the clue that we need to talk. Because tomorrow, I think I'm going to go down to the city prosecutor and file charges and go pro se. I cannot continue to spend my retirement money. I cannot continue to beat myself up going in the same circle, asking for help and getting nothing. I really need people to open their mouths to save my life. Because people are not understanding. There's a weapon being used as we speak, is making my life shorter, shorter, and shorter. So this 2 hours and 45 minutes might seem like a rambling to you, but I'm begging for my life. And I want to be free. I mean no harm. But everybody's scared they're going to get in trouble. It's a fucked up situation. And thank God there hasn't been more aggression put towards me yet. Although it could happen with a house fire or somebody coming into my house and shooting me at night. Or somebody just offing me with R&M. Oh, had a heart attack. So I'm risking my life for my freedom. And I'm asking people who have caused harm to walk a path of peace and forgiveness. Because I'm willing to not sue in exchange for their help. And on top of that, if the government dares to try and incarcerate people, I will defend those who defend me and my rights and plead with the judge for no jail time. This is a unique situation where we need to get to the bottom of it. Because not getting to the bottom of it, just remember my winter snow skate. Because it's right around the corner. People have been lackadaisical, not paid attention, not given me the time of day. I will be heard. Don't be rude again. I speak truth, always. The government should know that. The people using R&M certainly do. They know I tell the truth. So, if you could, try and hurry it up. Maybe we'll see you on Monday. Because you don't work Sundays. You're welcome. Anytime. Any questions you've got, I'm ready to give you all the information I have. And no, I hold no secrets, There's not one skeleton in my entire closet. And the people using R&M know that too. I'm a good man with incredible integrity and admirable character. And people in my town are making me out to be somebody I'm not. And I'm not good with that. They can go back to the hills for all I'm concerned. I'm asking for cooperation so that we can all be free. In fact, I know a good use for R&M. Let's find the one. The real devil, I'm assuming, would not have a DNA resonance signature because he does not have carbon as his component. So, whoever the person is that you're able to geolocate that doesn't have a reading is the one. That'd be a great use for R&M. Plus, it would get it into the spotlight. And then you could use it in court cases for people on the stand. Be the world's best lie detector ever known. Or trafficked individuals finding. How about missing children? If people know this technology exists and is used, it would actually make the world a safer place. So the secrets that we hide keep us sick. That's what I've learned through the Narcotics Anonymous program, of which I'm not technically an addict because the using, just like with beer or alcohol, you don't call everybody who has a beer a drunk or an alcoholic, do you? There needs to be some thinking about some things. I suggest that we get together and talk before too much more time goes by. I've left you a lot of messages. And it's because it's all the truth. I don't lie. I hope you didn't discard them or delete them. If you did, you can find it all on Tiered Justice, Equity, and Equality on Facebook. Made copies of almost everything and posted it. So it's all there. Today, we live in a world that has a lot of fear. This technology is only going to increase the amount of fear people have because they'll begin questioning the environment they live in. That's not good. And trickery, and deception, and hiding, secrecy. Ends up costing a lot of money. And that's not what the people pay their taxes for. We pay taxes for services, not to be ignored. So whenever you have an opportunity to free me, I've got a lot of leads. They should be followed up because I have the world's most incredible story already written, 10 volumes. And you know what else? I know because you like money, you're gonna love this. I'm offering a reward for my freedom back, like a lost cat or dog. I'm giving a percent of profit. It's the volumes of my journal, of my life. So, it is the most incredible story ever written, and I'm not believed by anybody. And there are liars believed of everything they say. And that is a story in itself. But we really need help here in the neighborhood. Until then, we'll survive. But I think most of the people here would rather live and not have the fear of jail over their head anymore. Because they've been caught doing something wrong. I'm not a voice of authority. Nobody listens to me. They certainly don't listen to me because they all think I'm mentally ill. Thanks to the police. Because they thought the real government wanted it to happen. That's at least what Patty says. I think that she doesn't want to tell me about. I think that's part of what she doesn't want to tell me. It'd be really helpful if she did. We'll see. It's only 1 o'clock and I haven't been outside in almost 3 hours to ask her again. I keep asking her. Either she's going to get tired of it. Maybe she'll call the police. That'd be okay. Because then I can play her 911 recording, which you just heard. We're stuck without executive branch help. Please help and make it soon. And stop creating harm for people that don't deserve it. Thank you. And have a good day.